Chapter 21. The villa hit me like a warm hug from someone who actually gives a shit about you. Quiet that felt intentional instead of oppressive, like the difference between meditation and suffocation. The moment I stepped inside, roasted garlic and freshly baked bread smacked me in the face with the reminder that I'd basically survived on anxiety and coffee fumes all day. Rookie mistake. The dining table looked like something from a magazine spread about people who have their lives together, candlelight casting warm glows across white linens, silverware that probably cost more than my rent. The kind of dinner party I'd only ever imagined attending, usually while eating microwaved ramen and questioning my life choices. "Look who made it before dessert," Finn said, emerging from the kitchen with wine like some kind of domestic god. "Barely," Asher added from the sideboard, where he was slicing steak with surgical precision, though his tone lacked real bite. Liam stood at the head of the table, eyes fixed on me with that intensity that always made my brain forget basic functions like breathing. He didn't speak, just watched me with an expression that stirred memories of our studio encounter. Perfectly still, waiting for me to make the first move. Smart man. I was basically a feral cat at this point. "Sorry I'm late," I said, setting down my purse like it contained state secrets. "Today was a shit show." "You've been working yourself into the ground," Liam observed, pulling out the chair between him and Finn. "I've noticed how you've been channeling your inner hermit lately." I settled into the offered seat, immediately feeling their attention wrap around me like expensive blankets. There's been pressure, organizing press conferences, editing final cuts, dealing with a team that still sees me as the new girl who doesn't quite belong. "Distance helps you cope?" Finn asked, pouring wine that probably cost more than my car. His fingers lingered against mine as he handed it over, sending familiar sparks up my arm that my traitorous body absolutely didn't need right now. "Sometimes." I took a sip, letting the wine work its magic. It's easier to focus when I'm not constantly distracted by us. Finn finished with that knowing look that could probably see straight through my bullshit. I hesitated, then decided fuck it. Honesty was apparently on tonight's menu. I needed space to think. Asher set down the carving knife and turned to face me fully, steel gray eyes doing their whole mind-reading thing. "Is that why you avoided us this morning? Brushed past Liam in the hallway like he had some contagious disease?" "I saw that," Liam said quietly, and I could hear the hurt he was trying to hide. Guilt twisted in my stomach like bad seafood. "I'm not trying to push you away, But you are," Asher interrupted, voice quiet but firm. "And we're not idiots, Jasmine. We can see what you're doing." I bristled at his directness, because apparently my defense mechanisms were still functioning. "I'm not stupid either. I know what this is. I know what people would say if they knew what was happening between us." The words hung in the air like smoke from a dumpster fire, acknowledging the elephant that had been growing larger with each passing day. Silence fell over the table, broken only by candles crackling and the distant hum of a city that never sleeps. Finally, Liam reached for my hand beneath the table, fingers intertwining with mine and anchoring me with warmth. "We're not here to make your life harder, Jasmine." My voice cracked like I was going through puberty again. I don't want to lose this before it's even real, before we figure out what the hell it means." "Then let us help you carry it," Finn said gently, his hand covering mine on the table. "You don't have to bear all this weight like some kind of emotional pack mule." Something loosened in my chest then. Not full surrender, but relief. Like I'd been holding my breath underwater and could finally surface. "Okay," I whispered. "Okay." Asher moved to serve the meal, placing perfectly cooked steak and roasted vegetables on each plate with the kind of care that spoke of long practice. "You need to eat," he said simply, setting my plate down. "You're too thin." "I've been stress-eating coffee and existential dread," I admitted, earning a soft chuckle from Finn. "Well, tonight you're eating actual food," Liam said, squeezing my hand before releasing it. "Asher's been cooking all afternoon." "You cook?" I asked, genuinely surprised by this domestic side of the usually intense AR head. Someone has to keep these two from living on takeout, and whatever catering abandons, Asher replied, with what might have been amusement. Liam would survive on coffee and the remnants of whatever meetings leave behind. And Finn would eat nothing but dessert if we let him, Liam added. Hey, dessert is perfectly balanced, Finn protested, cutting into his steak with dramatic flair. It has all the food groups: sugar, cream, chocolate, happiness. Those aren't food groups, I laughed, feeling lighter than I had in days. Says who? Finn waggled his eyebrows. I reject your conventional nutritional fascism. The conversation flowed easier after that, earlier tension dissolving like sugar in water. Asher surprised me by offering me the last piece of garlic bread without being asked. Liam kept my wine glass filled before I even noticed it was empty. Finn regaled us with increasingly ridiculous stories from his producer days. There I was, Finn continued, gesturing dramatically with his fork, in the studio with this pop princess who shall remain nameless, and she decides the only way she can hit her high notes is while standing on her head. Bullshit, I gasped, covering my mouth to keep from spitting wine. I swear on my favorite guitar, upside down, hair touching the floor, demanding we record her like that because it opens up her chakras, or some new age nonsense. Did it work? Liam asked, clearly having heard this story before, but still amused. Surprisingly, yes. The song went to #1. Finn shrugged. I learned never to question an artist's process, no matter how batshit insane it seems. For the first time in days, I felt whole again. Not the fragmented version I'd been presenting to the world. Professional Jasmine, worried sister Jasmine, woman hiding, dangerous secrets. Jasmine, but just me. Sitting with 3 incredible men who somehow saw all my broken pieces and wanted them anyway. Thank you, I said quietly as we finished the meal. For this, for understanding, for not giving up on me when I was being a complete disaster. You weren't a disaster, Liam said firmly. You were protecting yourself. There's a difference. And protecting us, Asher added, even when it hurts. After dinner, we migrated to the living room, where a fire crackled in the stone fireplace, like something from a rom-com. The couch was large enough for all of us, and somehow we arranged ourselves naturally, me against Liam's chest, Finn pulling my legs into his lap, my ankles settling near Asher's thigh. No expectations, no pressure, no demands. Just the 4 of us in comfortable silence, the outside world held at bay by candlelight and shared warmth. This is nice, I murmured against Liam's chest, feeling his heartbeat steady and strong beneath my cheek. He agreed, hands stroking through my hair. We should do this more often. When this whole mess with Adeline blows over, I said, then immediately regretted bringing up reality. It will, Asher said with quiet certainty. Whatever she's planning, we'll handle it. Together, Finn added, thumbs tracing gentle circles on my ankles. I closed my eyes and let myself sink into the moment. Fire warmth, Liam's solid comfort, gentle touches from Finn and Asher. For the first time in forever, I wasn't thinking about tomorrow's dangers or yesterday's regrets. Just this, just us, just belonging. Chapter 22. The fire had burned down to glowing embers, casting shadows that danced across the walls like they were auditioning for some indie art film. I was curled against Liam's chest on the oversized couch, cocooned in warmth and the kind of peace that felt almost illegal after the shit show that was today. His fingers traced lazy patterns through my hair, and I could feel his heartbeat steady and strong beneath my cheek. For the first time in weeks, my brain wasn't doing its usual impression of a hamster on cocaine, spinning through worst-case scenarios and workplace anxieties. Just this. Just the rise and fall of his breathing, the city sounds far below, and the sense of being exactly where I belonged instead of constantly apologizing for taking up space. I could stay here forever, I murmured against his chest. I wish you could, he replied quietly, voice rumbling through his chest like distant thunder. But Leo will lose his shit if I don't come home, I added with a sigh. Reality check. That's right. Because despite how safe this moment felt, I couldn't hide in expensive apartments and pretend the outside world didn't exist. I should go, I said reluctantly, but made zero effort to extract myself from his arms. 5 more minutes, Liam said, tightening his hold slightly. The city's not going anywhere. But eventually, real life intruded like an unwelcome party crasher. I forced myself to sit up, immediately missing his warmth, and began the tragic process of gathering my things. Liam walked me toward the door, hand resting on the small of my back, a gesture that was both protective and reluctant to let me go. "Jasmine," he said as I reached for my coat. I turned to find him holding a black garment bag that looked expensive even in dim light. The fabric was pristine, silver zipper gleaming, and there was something almost ceremonial about the way he held it. "What's this?" I asked, raising an eyebrow with a smirk. "Is this your way of bribing me with designer wear?" Liam didn't smile, but I caught the tiny twitch at his mouth corner. "It's not a bribe," he said, voice low and steady. "It's armor. For tomorrow." The word armor hung in the air between us, and suddenly his tone wasn't teasing. There was something quieter in his expression, sincere, almost protective, and I got it. This wasn't about fashion or impressing anyone. This was about him wanting to shield me, to give me something that would make me feel strong when facing whatever fresh hell tomorrow would bring. "I already have something to wear," I protested gently, though his gesture was melting my cynical little heart. "I know you do," he replied, stepping closer and pressing the garment bag into my hands. "But I picked this specifically for you. It's not about what you need. It's about what you deserve to feel when you walk into that room tomorrow." The weight of the bag felt significant, like he was handing me more than just clothing. "Liam!" "Please," he said simply. "Let me do this for you. Let me give you something that makes you feel as powerful as you actually are." I looked down at the garment bag, then backed up at his earnest expression. "Okay," I whispered. "Thank you." He leaned down and pressed a soft kiss to my lips. "You're going to be incredible tomorrow. Don't let anyone, especially Adeline, make you think otherwise." I expected my apartment to be quiet when I got home, Leo probably asleep or gaming with headphones on. Instead, I was greeted by Nora's voice bellowing from my bedroom. "Finally! I was starting to think you'd been kidnapped by your mysterious after-hours meetings." I opened the door to find my apartment looking like a fashion magazine had exploded. Clothes draped over every available surface, makeup products covering my dresser, like a cosmetics store had a nervous breakdown, shoes lined up in military precision across my floor. In the center of this cheerful chaos sat Nora, cross-legged on my bed, with wine in one hand and what looked like a fashion magazine in the other. "What is all this?" I asked, setting Liam's garment bag carefully on a chair. "This," Nora announced dramatically, gesturing with her wineglass, "is your fairy godmother moment. I'm here to make sure you absolutely slay at tomorrow's press conference." "How did you even get in here?" Leo let me in before he left for his study group. Sweet kid, by the way, very protective. Made me promise I wasn't here to give you bad advice about boys. She grinned wickedly. "Little does he know, I'm here to give you excellent advice about the boys." "Nora." "Ah." She held up a finger. "No protests. I brought wine, cupcakes from that ridiculously expensive bakery you love, and my considerable expertise in making women look like the goddesses they are." Despite my exhaustion, I found myself smiling. "You didn't have to do this." "Of course I didn't have to. I wanted to." She patted the bed beside her. "Now sit. We have important work to do." I settled next to her, accepting the wine glass she pressed into my hands. "What kind of work?" "The kind where we pick an outfit that says, 'I'm a brilliant professional who could also probably bench press you,' And then we practice your "I'm definitely not sleeping with my boss's" face. Nora! What? I'm just saying, subtlety has never been your strong suit. Remember when you tried to act casual about that crush on your college TA? You turned purple every time he looked at you. That was different, I protested, but I was laughing now. And I was 19. Exactly my point. You need coaching. She jumped up and began rifling through the clothes she'd brought. Now, what's in the mystery bag? Please tell me one of them bought you something fabulous. I glanced at Liam's garment bag, still feeling the weight of his gesture. Maybe. Ooh, mysterious. I like it. But first, let's see what else we're working with. For the next 2 hours, Nora transformed my apartment into a staging area worthy of a magazine shoot. She had me try on outfit combinations, critiqued my posture, and coached me on projecting confidence, even when I felt like a disaster wrapped in professional clothing. The key, she said, adjusting a blazer collar, is to remember that you belong in that room. You've earned your place through talent and hard work, not because of who you're screwing. But what if people think? Let them think whatever they want. Their opinions don't pay your bills or define your worth. She stepped back, studying me critically. Besides, jealousy makes people stupid. Use that to your advantage. You make it sound so simple. Not simple, strategic. She handed me another cupcake. There's a difference. As the night wore on, our conversation meandered from work strategies to childhood memories to Nora's latest dating disasters. The laughter filling my apartment was exactly what I'd needed. Light, genuine, uncomplicated by workplace politics or relationship drama. Thank you, I said, as we finally began cleaning up the chaos. For this, for being here, for... I gestured helplessly at the organized piles of clothes and makeup. For being your friend, Nora finished firmly. That's what friends do. We show up when it matters. Even when it's messy and complicated. Especially then. She pulled me into a fierce hug. Now get some sleep. Tomorrow you're going to remind everyone why you're the best damn assistant that label has ever had. After Nora left, I hung Liam's garment bag carefully in my closet, still curious about his choice, but somehow reluctant to look. The mystery felt important, like opening it too soon would break whatever spell he'd woven. As I got ready for bed, I could hear the city settling into its late-night rhythm outside my windows. For the first time in weeks, my apartment felt peaceful rather than like a hiding place. The burdens were still there, but somehow Nora's presence had made them feel lighter, more manageable. Chapter 23. I walked into the press conference prep room and immediately got smacked in the face by chaos barely held together with caffeine and sheer fucking determination. The air reeked of industrial-strength coffee, fresh ink from panicked printing, and that particular brand of tension that comes with high-stakes events where careers live or die based on whether someone remembered to order enough vegetarian sandwiches. My clipboard tucked under my arm like a shield, I dove into the familiar rhythm of crisis management, juggling multiple responsibilities with the kind of practiced efficiency that had become my superpower. Sarah! I called to one of the PR assistants, pointing at the seating chart spread across the main table like battle plans. Can we shift Evergreen Media to the third row, left side? They signed late, but they've got serious social media traction. Put them behind Avalon Productions, not next to them. The assistant nodded and began typing on her tablet like her life depended on it. Got it, third row left. Thanks. I moved to the refreshment station, double-checking logistics with the catering coordinator, because apparently I'd become the person who knew which journalists had nut allergies. And global sound is confirmed for the live stream relay, right? We can't have technical issues with something this visible. Yes, all good, the staffer confirmed, checking his notes with the intensity of someone defusing a bomb. They're setting up tomorrow morning, 2 hours before we go live. Every detail mattered. Every backup plan needed a backup plan. My career depended on this event going flawlessly, and I wasn't about to let anything slip through the cracks because I forgot to confirm someone's gluten-free requirements. Jasmine, the security briefing is confirmed for 8 a.m. Another assistant called from across the room. They want to walk through the VIP entrance protocols one more time. Perfect. Make sure they have the updated guest list with dietary restrictions flagged. My focus was shattered by a familiar voice cutting through the productive chaos like nails on a chalkboard. Big day tomorrow, huh? I turned to find Adeline standing nearby. Lips painted a sharp, predatory red that somehow made her smile look like a threat. She clutched a coffee mug but wasn't drinking from it, just holding it like a prop in whatever performance she was giving. It is, I replied evenly, turning to face her, because ignoring workplace predators only makes them bolder. Everyone's working hard to make sure it goes smoothly. I'm sure they are. Adeline's gaze swept over the organized chaos around us, cataloging every detail with calculating precision. Let's all dress our best tomorrow, shall we? First impressions are so important in this industry. The comment felt loaded with meaning I couldn't decode, but her eyes remained too intent, watching for my reaction like she was studying lab results. Absolutely, I replied, with a tone that gave away absolutely nothing. First impressions matter immensely. I swiftly returned to my tasks, pretending to review my clipboard, while actually just wanting to escape her scrutiny. After a moment, I heard her heels clicking away, but I could feel her presence lingering like toxic perfume. By the time I finished final walkthroughs and confirmation calls, exhaustion had settled into my bones like cement. The adrenaline that had carried me through the day was finally wearing off, leaving me feeling hollow and wrung out like a used dish rag. I made my way to the executive floor, the elevator ride giving me a few moments to collect myself before facing whatever waited upstairs. The executive level was quieter than the chaos I'd left behind, but somehow the silence felt heavier, more significant. Inside Liam's office, I placed the final timeline packet on his desk, fingers briefly resting on the smooth leather surface. The weight of tomorrow's responsibility pressed down on my shoulders, but there was also a strange sense of accomplishment. I'd done everything humanly possible to ensure success. Knock, knock, I called softly, though the door was already open. Come in, Liam's voice replied from somewhere deeper in the office. All three brothers entered together, their presence immediately filling the space with energy I'd grown to recognize and crave. They moved like they'd been discussing something important, expressions serious but not worried. Liam raised an eyebrow as he took in the packet on his desk. You work faster than our entire PR team. Despite my fatigue, I smiled. They don't run on panic and caffeine. I do. Don't sell yourself short, Asher said, moving to examine the timeline. This is exceptional work. Thank you, I said quietly, meaning it. Their approval still had the power to warm me from the inside out, which was probably pathetic, but whatever. Without preamble, Asher approached and placed a matte black bag on the counter, the kind of understated luxury that whispered rather than shouted about its expense. This is for tomorrow, he said simply, steel gray eyes holding mine. Before I could ask what it was, Finn stepped forward, producing a smaller velvet box from his jacket pocket like some kind of magician. And this, he added with a smile that was both mischievous and tender, is from me. I accepted the box with careful hands, heart already doing gymnastics. Inside, nestled in silk, was a delicate gold earring dotted with tiny diamonds that caught the office light and threw it back in brilliant sparks. Finn! I breathed, genuinely stunned. It's absolutely gorgeous. He winked, looking pleased with my reaction. Knew it would suit you. You've got perfect ears for delicate jewelry. The thoughtfulness of the gesture, that he'd noticed something so specific about me, made my throat tight with emotions I wasn't ready to name. Without thinking, I stepped forward and pressed a soft kiss to Asher's cheek, then turned to give Finn the same gentle affection. Asher's jaw tightened slightly at the contact, but I caught the subtle curve that appeared at his mouth corner. Finn beamed like he'd just won the lottery, hand coming up to briefly touch the spot where my lips had been. But before I could step back and collect myself, Liam was suddenly there, hand settling at my waist with a touch that was gentle but unmistakably sure. I turned toward him just as he leaned in, lips brushing mine in a swift, quiet kiss that neither asked permission nor made a show of itself. It simply happened, natural as breathing. The kiss was brief but devastating, carrying the weight of everything we'd been building toward. When he pulled back, I blinked up at him, stunned and unable to find words. Liam remained silent, watching me with smoldering steadiness that made my heartbeat stutter and my knees forget their primary function. "For luck," he said finally, voice low and rough. I stepped back slowly, still clutching Finn's velvet box, the kiss lingering on my lips like an unspoken promise. The three of them watched me with expressions ranging from tender to possessive to completely adoring, and I felt overwhelmed by the magnitude of what we were building together. "Thank you," I whispered, meaning it for so much more than just the gifts. "All of you." "Thank us tomorrow," Asher said quietly, "after you've reminded everyone in that room exactly how brilliant you are." As I gathered my things to leave, I could feel their eyes following my every movement, their support and desire wrapping around me like armor. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new tests of whatever precarious balance we were maintaining. But tonight, I carried their gifts and their faith in me. Tomorrow, I'd make them proud. Or die trying. Chapter 24. The press conference opened with the sharp click of heels against polished marble and that electric hum of anticipation that comes when money and media collide. Cameras positioned like snipers, lenses hungry for the next big story. I stood behind the three brothers at the stage edge, watching them command the room like they were born for it. Which, let's be honest, they basically were. Liam's voice carried that natural authority that made investors cream themselves. Our Q3 growth exceeded projections by 32%, with international streaming revenues alone. "Liam, can you speak to the rumors about expanding into Latin American markets?" some reporter interrupted. "Absolutely. We're in advanced negotiations with 3 major distributors." Asher fielded technical questions with surgical precision, breaking down complex industry data into soundbites that made even the most jaded reporters nod along like bobbleheads. And Finn? Christ, Finn was working the crowd like a fucking magician. "Look, I could give you all the boring statistics," he said with that trademark grin. "But let's be real. Good music finds its audience. We just make sure it doesn't get lost along the way." Laughter rippled through the room. These people were eating out of his hand. The deep red dress Liam had chosen hugged my curves perfectly, making me feel powerful instead of hidden. Finn's delicate gold earrings caught camera flashes, sending tiny sparks dancing across the walls like fairy lights. "And now," Liam's voice drew my attention back, "I'd like to introduce our manager of artist relations, Jasmine Harlow, who has some exciting news about our latest partnership." "Showtime!" I stepped forward, accepting the microphone with steady hands, feeling dozens of cameras focus on me like spotlights. For a moment, I was exactly where I'd dreamed of being, center stage, representing work I believed in, surrounded by people who respected what I'd built. "Thank you, Liam," I began, voice carrying clearly across the room. "Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for being here today, and thanks to our incredible team who made this possible." I launched into the Meridian distribution announcement, a deal I'd helped negotiate that would expand our international reach significantly. The room stayed attentive, engaged. "So now our artists' music will finally reach places where they probably can't pronounce our label name correctly," I added, getting the warm chuckle I'd been hoping for. For one perfect shining moment, everything felt aligned. Career soaring beyond my wildest expectations, confidence blooming under the bright lights, my complicated but real love life simmering beneath the surface like a beautiful secret. Then a single question detonated everything. "Ms. Harlow!" Male voice from somewhere in the crowd, cutting through the comfortable atmosphere like a fucking machete. Is it true that all 3 Blackwood men have been seduced by you? The room went dead. Air itself seemed to freeze. Every breath held. Every camera suddenly laser-focused. My blood turned to ice water. I'm sorry, what? But before I could even process the question fully, the large screen behind us flickered to life without warning. Photos. Intimate, private, devastating photos that made my stomach drop straight through the stage floor. There I was with Liam in the parking garage, his hand on my face as he looked at me with obvious tenderness. No, 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 I whispered, forgetting the microphone was still live. Another photo showed Asher's hand on my lower back, guiding me through a doorway with protective possession. A third captured the exact moment Finn had given me the earrings. My lips pressed to his cheek, while his eyes closed in obvious pleasure. Each image is perfectly framed, perfectly timed to show undeniable intimacy. Separately, they might have been explained away. Together, they formed a damning mosaic that no amount of professional spin could counter. The room erupted like a fucking volcano. Ms. Harlow, how long have you been involved with your employers? Is this why you received your recent promotion? Are all 3 relationships concurrent or sequential? Gentlemen, can you comment on? My body betrayed me completely. Papers slipped from my hands, scattering across the stage like my dignity. Heat flooded my face, turning my cheeks nuclear under the relentless camera flashes. I opened my mouth, but no words came out. Just the sound of my own ragged breathing, amplified by the microphone I still clutched like a lifeline. The brothers stood frozen behind me. Liam's face had gone completely blank. Asher's jaw was tight enough to crack teeth. Finn looked like someone had just punched him in the gut. Their silence was somehow more damning than any words could have been. I started, then stopped. What the fuck was I supposed to say? Deny the obvious? Explain away photos that spoke louder than words? I ran, bolted from that stage like my ass was on fire, ignoring the explosion of voices behind me. Ms. Harlow, wait! Jasmine, can you comment? Is it true that? I pushed past backstage curtains and into the maze of hallways beyond, heels clicking frantically against polished floors as I searched desperately for somewhere to hide from the nuclear fallout. Found refuge in a bathroom at the corridor's end, shoving through the door and diving into the furthest stall. My hands shook as I locked it behind me. That small click somehow final and devastating. Then the tears came, started quiet. Just a few drops I tried to wipe away with trembling fingers, but quickly became full-body sobs that shook me like an earthquake. Those photos were burned into my retinas. Every intimate moment we'd shared, every stolen glance and careful touch, reduced to evidence in some twisted prosecution. I'd been so fucking naive, thinking I could climb the ranks while keeping secrets in an industry built on exposure and scandal. The careful balance I'd tried to maintain had shattered in seconds, leaving me with nothing but wreckage. I wasn't the assistant who'd worked her way up through merit anymore. Now I was the girl who fucked her way to the top. Every achievement, every promotion, every moment of professional pride would forever be tainted. My phone buzzed, text after text flooding in. Holy shit, are you okay? Nora. Jazz, where are you? Came a text from Leo. The internet is going fucking insane. I turned the phone face down and pressed my face in my hands. How do you come back from this? How does anyone come back from complete and total annihilation, broadcast live to the entire industry? The answer was simple. You don't. You just sit in a bathroom stall and watch your carefully constructed world fucking burn down around you, one camera flash at a time. Chapter 25. I'm sitting in a bathroom stall, having the kind of breakdown that should come with its own documentary crew, when I hear the door open. Heels clicking against marble, with the kind of deliberate confidence that makes my skin crawl. Of fucking course someone's coming in here. Because apparently Rock Bottom has a basement, and I'm about to discover it. I try to muffle my sobs, pressing my hands against my mouth, like that'll somehow contain the complete implosion of my existence. Maybe if I stay quiet enough, Whoever it is will just piss and leave without noticing the human disaster in stall 3. No such luck. The footsteps stop, and I can feel someone waiting, like a predator that's caught the scent of wounded prey. I have to get out of here. Face whatever's left of my life instead of hiding like a coward. I unlock the stall door with shaking hands and step out, expecting to see some random coworker who'll pretend they didn't witness my meltdown. Instead, I find Adeline leaning against the marble sink like she owns the place, fixing her hair in the mirror with the kind of casual precision that suggests she's got all the time in the world. She looks perfect. Not a hair out of place, makeup flawless. That predatory smile spread across her face like she's just won the fucking lottery. Which, I guess, she has. "Rough afternoon?" she asks softly, her tone pitched to sound almost kind. The false sympathy in her voice makes me want to vomit. I catch sight of myself in the mirror, face blotchy and swollen from crying, eyes red-rimmed and hollow. The deep red dress that made me feel powerful on stage now looks like a cruel joke, a costume from a play where I forgot I was just an extra. "Don't want to talk about it," I whisper, because forming full sentences feels like advanced calculus right now. She turns to face me fully, and her smile widens. "Oh, but I do." Something cold slides down my spine. The way she's looking at me, not with pity or awkwardness, but with satisfaction, like she's savoring this moment. She starts moving toward me slowly, deliberately, studying me like I'm a bug she's considering whether to squash. "You know, Jasmine, I have to give you credit," she says, circling closer. "For a while there, you almost had everyone fooled. The humble little assistant, working so hard, so dedicated to her craft. But we both know the truth now, don't we?" My brain is still trying to process the nuclear fallout from the press conference, but something in her tone makes alarms start blaring. "What? Truth?" Her smile turns predatory at that fucking moment. "That your entire climb up the ladder has been nothing but a sham. That press conference just exposed you for exactly what you are, an attention-seeking whore who thought sleeping with your bosses would make you matter." The words hit like physical blows. I actually flinch, stepping backward until my shoulders hit the tiled wall. "You weren't as careful as you thought," she continues, clearly enjoying my growing horror. "All those stolen glances you thought were subtle. The mystery gifts that appeared on your desk, the special treatment, the private meetings, the way they looked at you like you were something precious instead of just another employee." My mouth goes dry. She's been watching. All this time, she's been fucking watching. "How did you—" "One phone call," she says simply, cutting me off. "One phone call to a photographer who's been looking for exactly the kind of story you three have been handing him on a silver platter. He was more than eager to help document your little love affair." The realization hits me like a freight train made of pure, concentrated horror. "You did this!" "Of course I did." The satisfaction in her voice is so pure, it's almost artistic. "Did you really think you could flaunt your arrangement right under everyone's noses and no one would notice? Did you think you were special enough to get away with it?" She moves closer, and I retreat further until there's nowhere left to go. "Here's what you never understood, Jasmine. Girls like you, girls who think they can use their bodies to skip the line and grab what they haven't earned, you don't get to stay invisible forever. Eventually, someone notices. Eventually, someone calls you out." My eyes fill with fresh tears, but I can't speak, can't move, can't do anything but stand there and take it while she destroys whatever's left of me. "The best part?" she continues, savoring every word like fine wine. "You did all the work for me, prancing around in expensive dresses they bought you, wearing jewelry they gifted you, standing on that stage like you actually belonged there. You made it so easy to document your little arrangement. I want to argue, want to scream that it wasn't like that what we had was real, that I earned my position through talent and hard work. But the words won't come, because deep down, a voice that sounds suspiciously like every insecurity I've ever had is whispering that maybe she's right. Maybe I am just the girl who fucked her way to the top. "You want to know what's really tragic?" she asks, preparing for what I can tell is the killing blow. For a hot minute there, you actually had people believing you were talented, that you'd earned your position through merit instead of spreading your legs for the right men. The words shatter something inside me that I didn't even know was still intact. She turns away, heels clicking confidently against the marble as she heads for the door. Just before exiting, she glances back over her shoulder for one final twist of the knife. "Don't worry, honey," she says with a cruel smile. "No one will care about your music now, but they'll definitely remember your name, just not for the reasons you wanted." The door closes behind her with a soft click, leaving me alone with the wreckage of my life. I slide down the wall until I'm sitting on the cold bathroom floor. The tears come harder now, full-body sobs that echo off the marble walls. She's right, about all of it. Every achievement, every moment of professional pride, every time I felt like I belonged. It's all tainted now, forever marked with the scarlet letter of a woman who slept her way to success. The Blackwood's silence on that stage suddenly makes perfect sense. They were protecting themselves, distancing themselves from the scandal I'd become. Smart move, really. Why go down with a sinking ship when you can just cut the anchor loose? My phone buzzes against the floor where I dropped it. Probably more messages from reporters, more people wanting to dissect my humiliation for public consumption. I don't pick it up. Instead, I just sit there in a bathroom, wearing a dress chosen by a man who's probably already planning how to minimize the damage I've caused to their reputation, and finally understand the truth Adeline was so eager to share. I never stood a chance. Chapter 26. The cab ride home is a blur of city lights and existential dread, every familiar landmark feeling like a goodbye to a life I'm apparently never getting back. I'm clutching the seat like it's the last stable thing in my universe, which, honestly, it might be. The apartment door slams behind me with the kind of finality that makes everything feel urgent and desperate. "Leo!" I call out, my voice carrying the kind of panic that cuts through gaming headsets and closed doors. "Leo, I need you to pack everything, right fucking now." He appears in his doorway, looking at me like I've completely lost my shit, which is probably the most accurate assessment anyone's made all day. The gaming headset around his neck and the confusion written across his face tell me he's been blissfully unaware of the nuclear bomb that just detonated my existence. "Jazz? What's wrong? You look like you've seen a ghost, or maybe become one." "No questions right now," I say, my voice sharp enough to cut glass. "Just pack whatever you can't live without. We need to leave the city, and we need to do it before anyone figures out where we are." He studies my face for exactly 3 seconds, then nods. "How much time do we have?" "Not enough." "Scale of 1 to 10, how fucked are we?" 11. Shit. He disappears back into his room, and I hear him moving with purpose. No more questions, no arguments, just action. This is why Leo's the only family that matters. I'm throwing essentials into garbage bags because apparently my life has devolved to the point where trash bags are my luggage of choice. Every sound from the hallway makes me flinch like I'm expecting SWAT teams or paparazzi or Adeline herself to come kicking down the door. Within an hour, we're loading our hastily assembled life into a rental car that I booked through a phone call where my voice cracked like I was going through puberty again. Leo climbs into the passenger seat without a word, his face tight with worry, but his loyalty absolute. Leo climbs into the passenger seat, looking at me with that expression that says he's worried but trusting me anyway. "Where are we going?" "Away." That's not an answer. It's the only answer I've got right now. I grip the steering wheel with white knuckles as we drive out of the city. The familiar skyline blurs past, and Leo doesn't press for details, which is probably smart, because I'm about 2 questions away from a complete meltdown. "You know, whatever happened, we'll figure it out," he says after 20 minutes of highway silence. "We always do. Remember when Mom and Dad—" Don't. I can't handle that comparison right now. This is different. This time it's my fault. He's quiet for a moment, processing. "How bad?" Career ending, reputation destroying, life as we know it obliterating bad. Fuck. Yeah. Near sunset, we pull up to a place I found during one of my late-night panic drives when Leo's debt was eating me alive. It's a small farm about 2 hours outside the city, the kind of place that exists in gentle anonymity, far from cameras and consequences. An older woman is feeding chickens in the yard when we arrive, her weathered hands moving with the kind of practiced efficiency that comes from decades of routine. A man, presumably her husband, looks up from repairing a fence post, his expression curious but not unwelcoming. I approach them like a refugee begging for sanctuary, which is basically what I am. "Excuse me," I start, voice barely above a whisper. "I know this is weird, but my brother and we need somewhere to stay. Just for a while. We can help with chores, pay rent, whatever you need." The woman studies us both, with eyes that are kind but shrewd, taking in our garbage bag luggage and my obvious distress. There's a long moment where I hold my breath, waiting for rejection or questions I can't answer. "The barn's got a clean loft," she says finally, her voice carrying the matter-of-fact tone of someone who's dealt with lost souls before. "Warm enough, and there's space for your brother. We could use help with the morning feeding if you're serious about working." "We are," I say, relief flooding through me so intensely it makes my knees weak. "Thank you. God, thank you so much." "Martha," she says, extending a hand. "This is my husband, Frank." "Jasmine, this is Leo." Frank tips his hat. "You look like you've had a hell of a day, young lady." "You could say that." "Well," Martha says, "hell days pass, always do." That night, I'm sitting outside the barn on a hay bale, surrounded by the peaceful scents of horses and pine. The sky stretches endlessly above us, unmarked by city lights or the chaos of my former existence. The silence between us isn't uncomfortable. It's the kind of quiet that comes from understanding each other's rhythms, from years of being each other's anchor in storms neither of us created. But eventually, the weight of everything I've been carrying becomes too much to bear alone. "Remember that debt you had?" I finally ask, my voice barely audible in the peaceful darkness. "The loan sharks who were threatening to break your legs?" "Hard to forget something like that," Leo says quietly. "You said you got a bonus at work, paid them off." I lied. The words feel like swallowing glass. "I didn't get a bonus. I sold something to get the money." He turns to look at me fully, and I can see the concern in his eyes even in the dim light. "What did you sell?" "Myself." The confession comes out in a whisper. Silence. The kind of silence that makes you wonder if the earth has stopped rotating. "Come again?" His voice is carefully controlled. "There's this website, Virtue Exchange. Rich guys bid on experiences. I auctioned off my virginity to save your life." The silence that follows is the kind that makes you wonder if the earth has stopped rotating. Leo runs his hands through his hair, processing information that probably never occurred to him as a possibility. "Jesus fucking Christ, Jazz. The guy who won the auction." "My bosses, all three of them, the Blackwoods." I tell him everything then, the words spilling out like a dam finally bursting. The desperate late-night research, the application process, the way the brothers had somehow transformed what should have been a simple transaction into something that felt real and meaningful. The press conference, the photos, Adelin's calculated destruction of everything I'd built. "I'm so sorry," I whisper when the story is finally told, my voice breaking with the weight of months of secrets. "I'm sorry I lied to you. Sorry I dragged you into this mess. Sorry I couldn't find a better way to save you." Leo is quiet for a long moment, and I can practically hear him processing everything I've laid bare. Then he reaches over and takes my hand, his grip warm and steady in the cool night air. "You saved my life," he says simply. And there's no judgment in his voice, only gratitude and love. "Whatever it cost you, whatever you had to do, you saved my life. That's all that matters to me." Chapter 27. Liam's POV. Jasmine looked absolutely fucking stunning in that red dress. I'd spent an embarrassing amount of time picking it out, standing in some overpriced boutique like a man possessed, imagining how the deep crimson would look against her skin. Turns out my imagination was shit compared to reality. The way it hugged her curves made it seem like it had been designed specifically for her body, like some cosmic joke about how perfect she was and how completely unworthy I felt of having her in my life. As the press conference began, I barely registered the usual chaos: clicking cameras, murmured conversations, the shuffle of papers that always accompanied these corporate dog and pony shows. My attention was laser-focused on her, watching her command that room like she was born for it. This was her moment to shine, and Christ, she was absolutely radiant. Then everything went to hell with one sharp, calculated question from some asshole in the crowd. Is it true that all 3 Blackwood men have been seduced by you? The photos that followed weren't explicit. Nothing that crossed legal lines or could get us arrested. But the truth was written in every frame like a fucking billboard. These weren't professional moments. They were personal, intimate, the kind of interactions that told a story no amount of corporate spin could explain away. I froze completely, my heart pounding so hard, I was sure the microphones would pick it up and broadcast my cardiac arrest to the entire industry. Around me, I could hear Asher's sharp intake of breath, feel his rage building like a storm about to level everything in its path. Finn was already moving, probably trying to keep Asher from doing something that would make this disaster even worse. But when I looked for Jasmine, she was gone. Just fucking gone. Her headset lay abandoned on the stage floor, like evidence at a crime scene. Her clipboard had been dropped beside the podium. The room erupted into the kind of chaos that tabloid journalists dream about: shouting questions, cameras flashing like strobe lights, the electric buzz of excitement that comes from witnessing a scandal unfold in real time. But all I could think about was finding Jasmine and making sure she was okay. Without hesitation, I stepped up to the microphone and cut through the noise with the kind of authority that comes from years of cleaning up other people's messes. "This press conference is over," I said, my voice carrying across the room with deadly calm. "These photos were taken without consent and represent a gross violation of privacy. We will be pursuing immediate legal action against everyone involved in this ambush." Then I walked off that stage, not giving a single fuck about damage control or the questions that would follow us for weeks. I only cared about finding Jasmine. I tore through the building like a man on fire, checking every room, every corridor, every possible hiding place. She hadn't used the main exit. Security confirmed that much. Panic was starting to claw at my chest when I passed a partially open bathroom door and heard a familiar voice inside. Adeline, fucking laughing. "Oh, you should have seen her face when those photos came up," she was saying, voice dripping with the kind of cruel satisfaction that made my skin crawl. "She just crumbled completely. It was beautiful." I froze outside that door, listening to her gleeful recounting of Jasmine's humiliation like it was the goddamn Super Bowl highlights. "The photographer got exactly what we needed," she continued. "And that journalist you recommended asked the perfect question. Your commission will be transferred by tomorrow." Commission. This had been planned, orchestrated, and Adeline had been the architect of our destruction. Rage overwhelmed me, pure, white-hot fury that made my vision blur at the edges and my hands shake with the need to destroy something. When Adeline finally emerged from the bathroom looking pleased with herself and completely unrepentant, I was waiting. "ID!" I demanded coldly, my voice barely controlled. "Excuse me?" She blinked at me in confusion, clearly not expecting to be confronted by someone who'd just figured out her game. "Your company ID. Hand it over, now." "I don't understand why—" I snatched the badge from around her neck and snapped it cleanly in half, the plastic cracking with a sound that seemed to echo through the hallway like a gunshot. "You're fired," I said, each word precise and final. "Effective immediately. You're done here, and you're never allowed near Jasmine again. If I see you anywhere near this building or any of our events, I'll have you arrested for harassment." Her mouth dropped open in shock. You can't just... I can and I have. I stepped closer, letting her see exactly how serious I was about ending her existence in our world. Security will escort you out. Don't test me on this. When she hesitated, clearly about to argue, Asher appeared at my shoulder like some kind of avenging angel. His presence was dark and menacing, those steel-gray eyes promising consequences that would make my threats look like gentle suggestions. That was enough to get her moving. She gathered what remained of her dignity and hurried toward the exit, but not before shooting us both a look of pure venom that told me this war was far from over. I continued my search, hope and desperation warring in my chest as I made my way to our office. Maybe she'd gone there to collect her things, or to leave a message, or to wait for us to find her and explain how we were going to fix this clusterfuck. When I opened the door, my heart didn't just sink. It fucking plummeted through the floor and into the earth's core. She had been there, but not for the reasons I'd hoped. The red dress I'd chosen for her was folded neatly on the conference table, the silk still holding the faint scent of her perfume like a ghost. Beside it sat the elegant bag Asher had given her, pristine and untouched. Finn's velvet box containing the diamond earrings completed the devastating display. Even her phone was there, powered off and silent on the desk like a tombstone marking the death of everything we'd built together. She had taken nothing. There was no note, no message, no explanation, just absence, the kind of complete erasure that spoke louder than any words could have. I picked up that red dress with trembling hands, remembering the way her face had lit up when she'd first put it on. The way she'd reached for all our hands simultaneously outside the villa, like she finally believed she belonged with us. The confidence that had radiated from her as she'd taken the stage today, looking like she could conquer the fucking world. Now she had left it all behind, folded with the same care she brought to everything she did, but abandoned nonetheless. I sank into the nearest chair, still holding her dress, and felt something inside me break with an almost audible snap. How do you live with the knowledge that you failed to protect the one person who mattered most? Chapter 28. Liam's POV. Liam! Finn's voice cuts through my spiral of self-destruction, hesitant and concerned in a way that tells me he's bracing for bad news. I turn to see him in the doorway, taking in the scene with growing horror. His eyes sweep over the abandoned belongings, like he's witnessing a crime scene, which, honestly, he kind of is. She left everything, he says quietly, voice barely above a whisper. No shit, Sherlock. But I don't say that because Finn looks like someone just told him Christmas was canceled permanently. Asher follows close behind, moving with that tense deliberation he gets when he's trying to keep his emotions from detonating and taking out half the building. He approaches the conference table like it contains radioactive material or something that could shatter if he breathes wrong. No ID, no cards, no personal items, Asher confirms, crouching to examine her bag like a forensic investigator. Just what we gave her. She took nothing that would connect her to this place. Her phone's here too. Finn picks up the device with hands that are definitely shaking. Powered off. She doesn't want to be found. The finality of it hits me like a brick to the face. This isn't anger or hurt feelings or needing space to process the nuclear fallout. This is calculated erasure. She systematically removed every trace of herself from our lives, leaving behind only our gifts, like returned engagement rings after a wedding that never happened. Like hell she doesn't want to be found, I say, my voice rough with the kind of determination that comes from refusing to accept defeat. She's running scared, not running from us. There's a fucking difference. Without hesitation, I pull out my phone and dial our legal team. They pick up on the first ring because when you pay retainers that could fund small countries, people answer your calls immediately. Marcus? It's Liam. I need you to destroy someone for me, I say, skipping pleasantries, because pleasantries are for people who aren't currently watching their entire world collapse. That photographer who ambushed the press conference, I want you to hit them with every charge you can think of. Invasion of privacy, harassment, conspiracy, Whatever the fuck sticks. I want their career dead by sunrise. Consider it done, comes the crisp reply that tells me Marcus is already mentally preparing his legal artillery. What about the journalist who asked the question? Find out who paid them, then destroy them too. While I'm handling the nuclear legal option, Asher's already got his laptop out and is typing with the kind of focused intensity he usually reserves for tracking down breakthrough artists or ruining people's lives. Both skills are about to come in handy. She's smart, but not that smart, he mutters, pulling up what looks like our company's administrative systems. Her old work email is still linked to our IT infrastructure. If she used any online services recently. His fingers pause over the keys, then he lets out a sharp breath. Got something. Third-party car rental booking, made about an hour ago. She accessed the site through her work email login. What kind of car? I demand, moving to look over his shoulder, because patience is apparently not in my vocabulary today. Compact sedan, one-way rental, no return date specified. Asher's jaw tightens. She used Leo's name for the booking, but the credit card is hers. I have the plate number. The fact that she used her brother's name tells me everything I need to know. Even in her panic, even while her world was imploding in real time, she was still thinking about Leo's safety first. Still protecting the people she loves, while assuming no one would do the same for her. Send me that plate number, I order, urgency exploding into action. Now. I storm out of the office toward the security department, Finn and Asher trailing behind me, like we're some kind of corporate SWAT team. The head of security looks up in surprise as we burst through the door like men on a mission, which we absolutely are. I need footage from every camera covering the employee parking area for the past 2 hours, I demand. Focus on the east exit. That's where she would have gone to avoid the main lobby circus. Sir, I'll need authorization. I'm giving you authorization. I cut him off because bureaucracy can fuck right off when the woman you love is in freefall. Pull it up now. The security team moves quickly, probably sensing that arguing with 3 men who look like they're about to commit felonies is bad for their health. Multiple camera angles come up on their wall of monitors, and we watch in tense silence as they scroll through footage. There, Finn says suddenly, pointing at one of the screens. That's her. And there she is, moving fast across the employee lot, wrapped in her coat like armor. No bag, no phone, nothing to slow her down. She looks small and fragile on the grainy security footage, but her movements are purposeful, determined. Even in her escape, she's got more backbone than half the executives in this building. Freeze it, I order as she approaches a gray sedan in the far corner of the lot. The tech team enhances the image, and I feel grim satisfaction as the license plate comes into focus. It matches Asher's information exactly. She planned this, Finn observes, his voice tight with a mixture of admiration and frustration. Look at how she avoided the main cameras, stuck to the shadows. She knew exactly how to disappear. She knew someone would try to follow her, Asher adds. This was about getting a clean break, vanishing completely. The thought of Jasmine feeling like she had to disappear from our lives, like we were something she needed to escape from rather than run to, makes rage and heartbreak war in my chest like they're fighting for real estate. Well, she's wrong, I say, my jaw locking with the kind of determination that's gotten me through hostile takeovers and industry wars. We're going to find her. I don't care if I have to tear up every road outside the city, check every hotel, every gas station, every shitty motel she might have crawled into to hide. She thinks she's alone in this, but she's not. I turn to face my brothers, seeing my own resolve reflected in their faces. We've faced down record executives, hostile media, and corporate sharks. One broken woman who thinks she has to carry the world alone should be manageable. She saved Leo's life by getting involved with us, I continued. Now it's our turn to save hers. Where do we start? Finn asks, and I can hear the steel in his voice that tells me he's ready for war. With the rental car company, I reply. They'll have GPS tracking on that vehicle. And when we find her... I pause, thinking about the broken woman who fled that bathroom, the abandoned gifts on our conference table, the systematic way she tried to erase herself from our lives. When we find her, I continue, we're going to remind her that she never has to face anything alone again. She's ours, and we don't abandon what's ours. Asher cracks his knuckles with a dangerous smile. Time to bring our girl home. Chapter 29. Jasmine's POV. I've found my zen in the weirdest possible place. Brushing a white mare named Luna, who probably has better hair than I ever did. The rhythmic motion of the brush against her coat is like meditation for people who are too fucked up for actual meditation. Martha and Henry, the couple who own this slice of pastoral paradise, offered me work without asking why I looked like I'd been hit by a truck, driven by my own bad decisions. They seem to understand that sometimes people need to disappear into hay bales and horse shit until they remember how to be human again. Turns out, I don't miss the stage lights, or camera flashes, or the constant buzz of industry networking that used to make me feel important. What I miss is being seen, really seen. Not the way those photographers caught me through their stalker lenses, but the way Liam's eyes used to find mine across crowded rooms, like I was the only person worth looking at. The way Asher looked at me, like I was something precious he wanted to protect from the world's general shittiness. The way Finn saw through my professional bullshit to the woman underneath who just wanted to belong somewhere. But that was before. Before the photos, before the public humiliation, before Adeline's cruel laughter turned my life into a cautionary tale about what happens when you forget your place. I'm working the brush along Luna's neck, lost in the simple satisfaction of making something beautiful clean, when my fragile piece gets obliterated like a house of cards in a hurricane. 3 figures approach from across the field, and even at a distance, my traitorous heart recognizes them with the inevitability of gravity pulling you off a cliff. My breath catches, panic flooding my system like ice water in my veins. Every survival instinct I've developed over the past 2 weeks is screaming at me to run, hide, dig a hole, and live underground like some kind of corporate mole person. But my body doesn't move. Because apparently, even after everything, there's still magnetic north, and I'm still a broken compass that can't find any other direction. Jasmine! Leo's voice cuts through my spiral, sharp with warning. He must have seen them too. Before I can even begin to process what their presence here means, how they found me, why they came, whether I'm about to get served with legal papers or worse, Leo explodes out of the barn like a protective missile programmed for maximum destruction. "What the hell do you think you're doing here?" he yells, storming across the yard with fists clenched and rage radiating from every inch of his frame. "You have the goddamn audacity to show your faces after what you did to my sister? You fucking ruined her." "Leo," I try to cut in, caught between shock at seeing them and alarm at my brother's nuclear-level fury. But Leo's beyond listening. He positions himself between me and them like a human shield, all 5'9" of righteous anger bristling like an angry cat. "You want to know what I've been watching for the past 2 weeks?" he continues, voice cracking with emotion. "My sister crying herself to sleep every night, jumping at every sound because she thinks paparazzi are going to leap out of fucking bushes. Too ashamed to even go to town for groceries because she's convinced everyone's staring at her like she's some kind of carnival freak." Liam steps forward, hands raised, in what looks like a peaceful gesture, but somehow manages to convey authority, even while trying to de-escalate. "We didn't come here to fight, Leo. We just want to talk to Jasmine." Leo scoffs with the kind of bitter sound that could strip paint. "Talk? That's fucking rich. You made her cry in front of the entire world, turned her into internet tabloid fodder, destroyed her reputation, and now you want to chat." "It wasn't us," Asher says quietly, those steel-gray eyes fixed on me instead of Leo. "It was never us." "Bullshit." Leo spits the word like it tastes toxic. "You think I don't know how this works? Rich, powerful men using women and then throwing them away when the PR gets inconvenient?" I can see this situation spiraling toward violence, can feel the tension ratcheting higher with each word. Luna shifts nervously beside me, picking up on the human drama unfolding in her usually peaceful space. Even the horse knows this is about to get ugly. Leo? I say gently, stepping away from the stall and walking toward my brother with deliberate calm. Let me handle this. He turns to me, face flushed with anger and something deeper, hurt on my behalf that makes my chest tight with emotions I'm not ready to name. You don't owe them shit, Jazz, not after what they put you through. I know, I reply softly, reaching out to touch his arm, but I need to hear what they came here to say. For me, not for them. Leo's jaw works silently, protective instincts warring with respect for my autonomy. After a long moment that feels like waiting for test results, he steps back reluctantly, though his glare could melt steel. 10 minutes, he says flatly, directing his words at the brothers. Then you get the hell off this property and leave her alone. I turn to face them, seeing them clearly for the first time since that disastrous press conference. They look like they've been through their own personal apocalypse, exhausted, haunted in a way that speaks of sleepless nights and desperate searching. Liam's usually perfect hair is disheveled. Asher's clothes are wrinkled like he's been sleeping in them. Finn's trademark smile is completely AWOL. They look almost as broken as I feel, which is either reassuring or terrifying. I haven't decided yet. Come on, I say quietly, not trusting my voice to carry across the distance. We can talk in the loft. I lead them toward the barn, hyper-aware of their presence behind me as we climb the ladder to the hayloft. The space is warm and dusty, filled with golden light filtering through wooden slats. We arrange ourselves in a loose circle on scattered hay bales, the informal seating making everything feel both more intimate and more fragile. Like we're kids playing house, except the house is on fire and we're all holding matches. I fold my hands in my lap to keep them from shaking, unsure if the tremor is from nerves or just being this close to the three men who turned my world into a crater. The silence stretches between us, heavy with everything that needs to be said and everything that might be impossible to fix. I don't know what they came here to tell me, or whether any words exist that could bridge the chasm that opened between us on that stage. But as my heart pounds in the dusty stillness, something stirs inside me that I haven't felt in weeks. Not fear this time, not the crushing weight of shame or betrayal, just a flicker of hope that maybe, just maybe, they came back for the right reasons. So, I say finally, voice barely above a whisper, talk. Chapter 30. The hayloft feels like a cage designed by someone with a sick sense of humor. 4 people, infinite emotional baggage, and enough sexual tension to power a small city. Golden dust motes dance through afternoon light like they're mocking the gravity of this moment, and I'm curled in the corner like a wounded animal trying to make myself small enough to disappear. My knees are drawn up to my chest, arms wrapped around them like armor that's about as effective as tissue paper against what's coming. I can feel their presence burning into my skin. Liam's patient steadiness, Asher's barely contained intensity, Finn's restless energy that always made my pulse forget how to behave properly. But I can't look at them. Not when I can still hear that cruel laughter echoing in my head. Not when I remember standing on that stage feeling like roadkill that someone decided to put on display. Jasmine. Liam's voice cuts through the silence like a scalpel, soft but certain. We need you to understand. Do you? The words come out smaller than intended, and I hate myself for sounding like a broken toy instead of the badass woman I pretend to be. Because last I checked, talking wasn't exactly your strong suit when it actually fucking mattered. That's fair, Asher says roughly, and his voice sounds like he's been swallowing gravel. But we're here now. Yeah, and where exactly were you when my entire life exploded in front of half the music industry, like some kind of professional suicide bomb? I finally lift my head, meeting their gazes with all the pain I've been carrying around like toxic luggage. Where were you when I needed you most? Finn leans forward, his usual easy grin completely AWOL. We were trying to fix it. You were trying to erase me. The words slice through the air sharper than I meant them to. Just like I always knew you would when things got messy and inconvenient. That's not true. Liam's voice is quiet but firm, like he's trying to convince himself as much as me. Jasmine, we know everything. About Adeline, about what she said to you in that bathroom, about the photos. My breath hitches like someone just sucker punched me. You do? We do. Asher's jaw is tight enough to crack diamonds, hands clenched into fists that look ready to demolish something. I caught that vindictive bitch on the phone 20 minutes after you disappeared. She was bragging about it, laughing about how she made you cry. Bragging? My stomach drops through the floor and into the earth's core. She set the whole thing up, Finn says, voice harder than I've ever heard it. Stalked you for weeks, documented your every move like some kind of corporate serial killer, then sold you out for a fucking paycheck. Where is she now? The question slips out before I can stop it, and I hate that I still care about the answer. Gone. Asher's smile is sharp enough to perform surgery. Fired her ass on the spot. Blacklisted her across every label in the city. She'll be lucky to get a job cleaning toilets after what we did to her reputation. I feel a flicker of satisfaction, but it's quickly overshadowed by the ache in my chest that feels like someone's been using my heart as a punching bag. So you got your revenge. Good for you. This isn't about revenge, Liam says. This is about protecting what matters to us, protecting you. By hiding me? By pretending I never existed? I laugh, but there's no humor in it. Just the sound of something breaking. Do you have any idea what that felt like? Watching you three just stand there while that reporter tore me apart like I was some kind of piñata full of shame? Not one of you said a fucking word. Finn reaches into his jacket and pulls out a familiar velvet pouch. He doesn't open it, just holds it between his palms like something sacred. We kept everything you left behind, your dress, this, everything, because we didn't know if we'd ever see you again. The sight of that small bag makes my throat close up like someone's squeezing it. You kept it? Of course we kept it, Asher says roughly. What did you think, that we'd just toss it in the trash? That you meant so little we'd throw your things away like garbage? I don't know what I thought. My voice cracks like I'm going through emotional puberty. I was scared and humiliated, and I needed to disappear before I completely lost my shit in public. Well, mission accomplished, Finn says, voice tight with emotions he's trying not to show. Do you know what it was like, coming back to find your phone on the desk? Your dress folded like you were never coming back? We thought we'd lost you forever. Maybe you should have. The words slip out before I can stop them, like verbal vomit I can't take back. Maybe it would have been easier for everyone. Don't. Liam's voice cuts through the air like a whip. Don't you dare say that. Why not? It's true, isn't it? I'm the one who complicated everything. I'm the one who couldn't keep things professional and clean and safe. You're the one we fell in love with. The words come from Asher, quiet but absolute, like he's stating a fundamental law of physics. All of us. And if you think we're going to let you disappear because some jealous woman decided to make your life hell, then you don't know us at all. I stare at him, heart hammering against my ribs like it's trying to escape. Love? Yeah, love. Finn's voice is soft now, vulnerable in a way that makes my chest ache. You think this was just about the auction? About some fucked up transaction? Jasmine, I've been half out of my mind since you left. We all have. Then why didn't you come after me sooner? The question tears out of me like it's been clawing at my insides for weeks. Why didn't you fight for me when it actually mattered? Liam runs a hand through his hair, composure finally cracking like expensive veneer. Because we thought we were protecting you. We had our legal team scrub the story from every website, filed lawsuits against that photographer, buried the whole thing as deep as we could. We thought that was enough. But it wasn't, Asher adds, voice heavy with regret that sounds like it weighs 1,000 pounds. Because while we were fighting battles behind closed doors, you were dealing with the fallout alone. We should have defended you publicly, should have stood up there and told everyone exactly what you meant to us. What I meant to you? I shake my head, because this feels too good to be true, and I've learned not to trust things that seem too good. I felt like a mistake you had to erase. You're the best thing that's ever happened to us. Finn's words come out fierce, desperate, like he's trying to convince the universe itself. All of us, do you hear me? The best fucking thing. We didn't fall for some polished image, Liam says, moving closer with careful steps like he's approaching a wounded animal. We didn't fall for your voice or your talent, though both are incredible. We fell for you, Jasmine, the woman who brings Leo breakfast before making her own. The woman who writes songs in empty studios when she thinks no one's listening. The woman who lights up a room just by existing in it. No more hiding, Asher says, voice like steel wrapped in velvet. No more pretending this is about business or gratitude or any other bullshit excuse. We're not letting you go again. Even if people find out again? The question is barely a whisper, but it carries all my fear like a loaded weapon. Even if it gets worse? They will, Finn says simply, and we don't give a shit. What matters is you, what you want. Something shifts in my chest. Not shame this time, but something much more dangerous. Hope. Terrifying bone-deep hope that maybe I don't have to choose between them and everything else. Between love and survival. I whisper, shaking like a leaf in a hurricane. I didn't think I mattered enough. Liam is on his knees in front of me before I can blink, hands gently taking mine like they're made of spun glass. You mattered to us before the music, before the spotlight, before anything else. You matter because you're you, because you exist and breathe and make the world better, just by being in it. Finn and Asher move closer, surrounding me in a circle of warmth and safety I've been craving since the moment I ran like my life depended on it. You belong with us, Asher says, voice rough with emotions he usually keeps locked away. If you'll still have us, Finn adds, hope threading through his words like a lifeline. I look at each of them, really look. Liam's green eyes are bright with unshed tears. Asher's jaw is tight with barely controlled emotion. Finn's usual confidence has cracked to reveal something raw and vulnerable underneath. These men traveled hours to find me, kept my things like treasures, destroyed the woman who hurt me, and fought battles I didn't even know about. They're here, on their knees in a dusty hayloft, offering me everything. The tears I've been holding back finally spill over like a dam bursting. I reach for Liam first, cupping his face as I kiss him with everything I have, all my fear and hope and desperate love. Then Asher, tasting the desperation on his lips like it's communion wine. Finally Finn, who makes a broken sound when my mouth finds his. My breath leaves me in a shaky exhale that feels like rebirth, like the first breath after drowning. Take me home, I whisper against Finn's lips, choosing them fully, and finally, choosing love over fear for the first time in my goddamn life. Chapter 31. Jasmine's POV. What about me? Leo's voice cut through the barn, and my stomach dropped. He stood in the doorway, backlit by sun, his jaw tight. He'd heard everything, every word about leaving, every choice I'd made without him. Fuck. This was the reckoning I'd been avoiding since we arrived at Martha and Frank's farm 2 weeks ago. Leo? I forced his name out. Let me explain. Explain what? He stepped into the barn. You're planning your whole life with them, and I'm just supposed to be cool with it? The accusation hit hard. This isn't about... Not about me? His laugh came out sharp and bitter. You're my sister, the only family I've got left, and you're leaving for 3 dudes who turned your life into a fucking joke. They didn't, I started, but he talked over me. Months of rage finally breaking free. Are you serious? Your face was everywhere, every newsfeed, every goddamn meme. His voice cracked. People said shit about you that made me want to break things, and now you're just going back to them? I wanted to explain. To make him understand how the brothers had put me back together when I'd been broken. But the words stuck because part of me knew he was right to be angry. Like I mean nothing to you? You're ditching me for them? He said it with such certainty that nausea rolled through me. Leo, The words caught. What could I say? That I needed them. That being with them made me feel like I was choosing something for myself instead of just surviving? I know it sounds insane. I know it's fast, but I need to try this. Try what? He shook his head. Jazz, you don't even know them. A year isn't enough time to throw your whole life away. I felt Liam go tense beside me. Felt Asher's anger radiating outward. Felt Finn holding himself back. But I raised my hand, stopping them. This was mine to handle. You don't understand what's between us, I tried. But Leo was having none of it. You're right, I don't get it. He gestured at the brothers with contempt. They're rich as hell, powerful, and you think you're special? That this is real? That's enough, Liam said quietly. But Leo whirled on him. Nah, man, don't. He turned to Asher. You screamed at her in your office over nothing. Then to Finn. And you literally climbed through her window like some creep. Back to me, his voice breaking. And you think that's healthy? Something inside me snapped. All the fear I'd been swallowing, all the guilt came roaring up. What was I supposed to do? I was yelling now. You got in debt to loan sharks because of Mom and Dad, and I sold myself to save your life. Leo flinched as though I'd struck him. And the only good thing that came out of that nightmare is them. Tears streamed down my face. They're the only ones who made me feel like I wasn't just broken. The silence that followed was suffocating. Leo stared at me, and I watched something shift in his expression. Pain, understanding, resignation. So I didn't make you feel like you mattered? His voice came out quieter now, wounded. All those years when it was just us, that wasn't enough? Leo, that's not what I meant. I'm not good enough to be your family? The accusation landed because it touched the exact fear I'd been running from. That choosing them meant rejecting him. That's not fair, I choked out. Leo, please. He held up his hand. Don't, just don't. Come with us, I said desperately. You have a job, an apartment in the city. I know what I have. He cut me off. And I'm giving it up. The world tilted. What? Martha and Frank offered me a place here. Work on the farm. His jaw was set with that stubborn determination I recognized from childhood. I want to stay. But your job, your apartment. Panic clawed up my throat. It's your apartment, the job you helped me get. His eyes held mine. Everything in my life is connected to you saving me. Maybe it's time I figure out who the hell I am without that. The devastation was absolute. My entire identity since I was 11 had been built on protecting him. And now he was telling me he didn't need that anymore. Because I'd chosen them first. Leo, you're my brother. I reached for his hand, but he pulled away. Yeah, and you already made your choice. He looked at me with something between acceptance and defeat. Maybe this is good. Maybe I need to be somewhere nobody knows me as Jasmine's little brother. Liam stepped forward carefully. Your job and apartment will be there when you want to come back. I don't want them to be there, Leo said coldly, then softer. Look, I'm not mad at you guys. This isn't about you. His eyes found mine again. This is about me needing to figure out my own life without my sister fixing everything. He turned to leave, and my legs gave out. Liam caught me, but I barely registered his arms. I was watching my brother walk away. Not in anger, just leaving. And the quiet of it was worse than any scream. He's really going, I whispered. It's time for him to grow up, Liam corrected quietly. But it didn't feel like that. It felt like everything I'd sacrificed, everything I'd done to keep him safe, had been thrown back because I dared to want something for myself. Martha appeared minutes later. Leo had asked us to leave. He didn't want to watch us go. She hugged me and promised to take care of my brother. I gathered my things, my body on autopilot. In the car, Asher drove because he needed control. Finn sat in unusual silence up front. Liam held me in the back while I stared at the farm disappearing through the rear window. 20 minutes passed in silence. Then Liam spoke, low and certain. We'll take care of him, even if he doesn't want us to. Martha will send updates. When he's ready, if he wants to come back, Everything will be waiting. And if he doesn't, I whispered, then we'll make sure he's okay anyway. His grip tightened on my hand. This is a promise, Jasmine. We fight for you. And for him. The city appeared on the horizon as the sun began to set. I watched the familiar skyline. For the first time, it didn't feel like coming home. Home was where Leo was. And Leo had chosen elsewhere. Where to? Asher asked quietly as we approached the city limits. Your apartment or ours? I looked at Liam, still holding my hand. At Finn, turned toward me with desperate hope. At Asher, whose eyes found mine in the rearview mirror. 3 men who promised to fight for me. 1 brother who decided to find himself without me. Yours, I whispered, making the choice again even as it tore me apart. It's also yours now, Asher said. Chapter 32. Jasmine's POV. Liam's villa looked exactly the same. Clean lines, floor-to-ceiling windows, city lights spreading out like they were mocking me. But walking through that door felt like crossing into enemy territory, where the enemy was my own fucking choices. Every step forward was another step away from Leo, and the guilt was a living thing in my chest, clawing and biting and reminding me that good sisters don't do this. Good sisters don't choose 3 men over their baby brother. Liam grabbed my bag, while Finn appeared at my elbow with that grin. Come on, your room's waiting. Let's get you settled. I followed him upstairs. 2nd floor, 3rd door on the left. The room that used to be temporary and now felt permanent in a way that made my stomach twist. Because permanent meant I'd really done it, really chosen them. Finn set my bag down and immediately started unpacking like it was a performance, holding up my sweatpants like they were designer gowns. The sacred loungewear, the holy... Wait, is this lace? He held up my bra, eyebrows raised. Jasmine, I had no idea you... Finn! Gray voice. His smile died. The mask slipped, and underneath was something that looked too much like what I was feeling. He set the bra down like it was fragile, turned to face me fully. I get it, he said, quiet and serious, in a way that Finn never was. What it's like when a family splits apart. The words punched through my defenses. I stared at him. What do you mean? His jaw went tight. Something flickered in his eyes. Old damage. The kind that never stops hurting. I'll tell you about it sometime. When you're ready. The air felt heavy. 2 broken people standing in a room full of unpacked bags and choices we couldn't take back. Then he shook his head, and the grin was back. Forced. But right now, the boys are downstairs trying to feed you. Liam's probably burning shit, and Asher's being a pretentious dick about it. My throat went tight. Thanks, Finn. Anytime, gorgeous. The wink didn't reach his eyes. Come on, before you disappear on us. Downstairs smelled like garlic and carbon. Liam stood at the stove looking annoyed, while Asher leaned against the counter with wine, enjoying the show. It's not burned, it's caramelized, Liam was saying. It's fucking charcoal, Asher replied, smooth and amused. I sat at the island. They served me pasta that was decent despite the burnt edges. For maybe 2 minutes, it felt almost normal, like I was just having dinner instead of sitting in the ruins of everything I'd destroyed. Then Asher set down his fork. Business mode activated. We need to talk about tomorrow. My stomach dropped. You need to come back to work, Liam said, gentle but firm. Hiding makes it worse. We need to resolve this fast, Asher added. Force everyone to admit they set us up. Control the narrative. Otherwise? Because there was definitely an otherwise. Liam's jaw tightened. He looked at Asher. The silent communication that meant bad news. Otherwise, the elder Blackwood gets involved, Asher said. And we'll have problems. The elder Blackwood? Our father, Liam said. Finn's uncle. He bankrolled Cadence Records from the ground up, Finn added, all humor gone. And he's a fucking shark, the kind that destroys everything in his path. Great. So if we didn't fix this, Daddy Dearest would show up and make everything worse. Perfect. I'll handle the lawyers, Finn said. Make sure they do their job in the best possible way. We need to bring in a PR team, Asher added, already 3 steps ahead. Twist this whole situation in our favor. For hype? Finn asked, that calculating look appearing. That's a good idea, Liam said. They kept talking. Strategy, timelines, damage control. And all I could think about was walking back into Cadence Records tomorrow, facing everyone who'd seen those photos, everyone who knew I'd fucked my way into this situation. What am I supposed to do? Came out smaller than I wanted. 3 sets of eyes on me. The weight of their attention. I can't just walk back in there like nothing happened. Panic rising, clawing up my throat. How am I supposed to look at people? How am I supposed to face Nora? Nora? Jesus. She'd been calling and texting for days, worried, concerned, trying to help. And I'd ignored every single message because I didn't know how to explain that I was exactly the girl everyone thought I was. The one who slept with her bosses and destroyed her relationship with her brother for 3 men who made her feel wanted. Everyone knows, I said, fracturing. They're going to look at me and see... They're going to see someone who did nothing wrong, Liam interrupted, firm and protective. You don't have to worry about anything. You earned your position through your work, your incredible strategy. Remember when you fucked up and then turned it in our favor? We're going to do the same thing now. I remember, Asher said, something like admiration in his voice. Yeah, that was some next-level damage control, Finn added with a grin. You basically turned a disaster into a promotional opportunity. Very hot, by the way. Despite everything, I felt a flicker of something. Not hope. Maybe just the memory of being competent, of being more than just the girl who raised her brother and fucked her bosses. But then reality crashed back. Everyone would whisper. Nothing they said could change that. Tell me, Liam said, voice softer now. What do you need right now to feel better? I looked at them. At Liam's green eyes, promising protection he couldn't guarantee. At Asher's intensity, barely containing whatever he was feeling. At Finn's seriousness, said he understood breaking. You, I whispered, confession and condemnation. I need all of you. They moved, chairs scraping, bodies converging. Liam reached me first, hand cupping my face, and when he kissed me, it was slow and claiming. Anchoring me when everything else was chaos. I kissed him back desperately, violently, trying to consume the feeling of being chosen, trying to drown the voice screaming that I was selfish and terrible and exactly the sister Leo had feared I'd become. Asher was there when Liam pulled back, his hand on my neck, possessive and grounding, and his kiss was controlled precision, cataloging, learning, dismantling my defenses piece by piece. I let him, because being taken apart felt better than holding myself together. Finn's fingers in my hair, voice dropping. We've got you. We're not going anywhere. The promise highlighted everything Leo had said, that I was choosing them, trading him for this. They guided me upstairs, and I followed because I didn't know how to do anything else. Chapter 33. Jasmine's POV. In Liam's bedroom, they stripped me of my clothes with a reverence that felt like both adoration and scrutiny. Each button undone was a decision. Each piece of clothing removed was another layer of my identity peeled away. Jasmine the guardian. Jasmine the sister. Jasmine who gave up everything. Beneath all that, I found someone unfamiliar, someone filled with desire, someone who took what she wanted, who chose pleasure, even at great cost. 6 hands moved harmoniously. Liam's mouth was at my collarbone. Finn kissed across my hip as he knelt, and Asher's hands massaged my breasts with perfect pressure, making my knees weak. Finn moaned as he buried his face between my legs, his tongue parting my folds and tasting me like it was his lifeline. My hips bucked against him, the pleasure sharp and instant as he flicked his tongue over my clit, teasing before drawing me deep into his mouth. "Oh, God," I gasped, reaching for Liam who was near my face. He kissed me then, open-mouthed, slow and deep, while Asher pinched my nipple and whispered dirty praises into my ear. "Wet," Asher murmured. "Wet for us." Finn growled into me, the vibration making me cry out as my first orgasm peaked. I shook against them, my body overwhelmed by the intensity, but they didn't stop. Liam guided me down onto the couch, lying back so I straddled his hips. I felt his hard length pressed between us, his hands gripping my thighs. "Bride me," he said, his voice thick with need. "Take what you need." I positioned myself over him, gasping as he filled me slowly, inch by inch, until I was fully seated, stretched around him. "Fuck, Liam," I moaned, rolling my hips. He groaned, fingers digging into my skin. "You feel like heaven." While I rode Liam, Asher stepped behind me, sliding his fingers between my cheeks, teasing, slicking me with lube I hadn't even noticed him opening. "You want to be full?" he asked against my ear. "Yes. Fuck. Yeah." He pressed a single finger in, gentle but relentless, and then another, stretching me carefully as Liam thrust up into me. The pleasure was overwhelming, Liam deep inside me, Asher stretching me open with skilled precision, Finn's cock filling my mouth as he groaned and stroked my hair. "You're perfect for us," Liam rasped. "Fucked full." I whimpered as Asher pressed the thick head of his cock against my ass, slow and steady, filling me inch by inch. The sensation was intense, fuller than I'd ever felt. My mouth fell open as I was completely claimed, one cock in my pussy, the other deep in my ass, their bodies enveloping me. "God," I choked out, overwhelmed. "So full." Liam kissed my mouth, swallowing the sound. "You're taking us so well, Bunny." "You were made for us," Asher groaned, thrusting shallowly at first, hands gripping my hips tight. Finn, kneeling beside us, guided my hand to his cock, hard and flushed. "You've got one more," he murmured, brushing his lips over mine. I met his gaze and nodded. He slid his cock between my lips, groaning as I took him deep into my throat, gagging slightly before relaxing my jaw and giving him everything. I was filled in every way. Liam's cock deep and steady, Asher fucking my ass with slow punishing thrusts, and Finn using my mouth like he'd dreamed about it. I couldn't think, couldn't breathe, couldn't do anything but feel. They didn't rush, they didn't push me too far. Every move was measured, every thrust meant to build me higher, to worship me while utterly ruining me. We moved together in a rhythm that defied logic. Liam thrusting up, Asher pushing in behind me, Finn fucking my mouth gently until I could hardly think, until all I could feel was the tidal wave of sensation building inside me. When I came again, shaking and raw, it was like being set on fire from the inside. The pressure in my core exploded, and I screamed around Finn's cock, collapsing forward as I clenched around both men inside me. That triggered everything. Finn pulled out and came across my tongue and lips, groaning my name like a benediction. Liam cursed beneath me, slamming into me hard one final time before he came with a deep hoarse growl. Asher's thrusts became erratic. Then his cock pulsed deep in my ass as he let go with a sharp gasp. He pulled out slowly, murmuring soft praise as he kissed my shoulder. Liam caught my face between his palms and kissed me gently. Afterward, they arranged themselves around me. Liam behind me, solid. Asher facing me, fingers tracing patterns. Finn beside us, hand in my hair. They murmured reassurances, promises about narratives and protection. But my thoughts were at that farm, with my brother settling into a bed in a house that didn't need me. Leo had said he needed to figure out who he was without me saving him. What he didn't understand was that I had no idea who the hell I was without him to save. Being his protector had been my identity since I was 11, my purpose, my reason for surviving, and he'd stripped it away, told me my sacrifice was suffocation, that everything I'd built was a cage he needed to escape. The brothers thought I was here because I'd chosen them, maybe I had, but I was also here because Leo had rejected me first, had looked at 14 years of devotion and decided it was a burden. Their breathing evened out. one by one falling asleep. But I stayed awake, staring at the ceiling, feeling the weight of what I'd done. I'd let 3 men take me apart and rebuild me as someone new. Someone who wanted instead of sacrificed, who chose pleasure over duty, who let her brother walk away so she could have this feeling of mattering. Tomorrow we'd face the media, the judgment, the consequences. But tonight, all I could think about was whether Leo was lying awake too, whether he felt this hollow, whether he missed me even half as much, whether choosing to be wanted instead of needed made me the selfish sister he'd always feared. The answer pressed against my chest. I'd chosen them, chosen this, and somewhere out there, my brother was learning to live without me because I'd proven I loved something more than him. Even if that something was just the feeling of not being alone. Chapter 34. Jasmine's POV. I stood in front of my closet at Liam's villa for 20 minutes, paralyzed by the simple question of what the fuck to wear. Too professional looked like I was trying too hard. Too casual looked like I didn't care. Everything felt like a statement I didn't know how to make. In the end, I chose a black blazer and pants. Armor. The kind of outfit that said I'm here to work, not fuck my way through the executive suite, even though that ship had already sailed and everyone knew it. The drive to Cadence Records felt like heading to my own execution. The security guard at the entrance looked up when I walked in. His eyes did that thing. That flicker of recognition, followed by judgment. He knew. Of course he knew. Everyone knew. I kept walking. The receptionist went silent mid-sentence when she saw me. Just stopped talking to whoever was on the phone and stared. I felt her eyes on my back all the way to the elevator. The hallway to my desk was worse. Whispers followed me like a wake. That's her. Can't believe she had the audacity to show up. I heard all 3 of them at the same time. My face burned, but I kept my head up, kept walking. If I stopped, if I acknowledged it, I'd shatter right there on the industrial carpet. Where the fuck have you been? Nora appeared out of nowhere, grabbing my arm and steering me toward the break room with the kind of force that said we were having this conversation whether I wanted to or not. Why didn't you answer my calls? She pushed me into a chair and shoved a coffee cup at me. I've been worried sick, and you've been radio silent for days. The concern in her voice cracked something open in my chest. I'm sorry, I didn't know what to say. How about I'm alive for starters? She sat across from me, arms crossed. Talk, now. What the hell happened? So I told her, not everything, but enough. The brothers, the choice, Leo walking away. Nora listened without interrupting, her expression shifting from angry to calculating. When I finished, she leaned back and hit me with brutal honesty. Half the office thinks you're a slut. The other half is jealous as hell. She stirred her coffee, matter of fact. You want to survive this? Prove your worth. Make yourself so valuable they can't afford to lose you, regardless of who you're fucking. The words should have hurt. Instead, they felt like a lifeline, a strategy, something concrete I could actually do. Can you do that? She asked. Yes. My voice came out stronger than I felt. Good, because it's about to get worse. She was right. At 10, the brothers called an emergency staff meeting. The entire company crammed into the main conference room, and I felt every eye on me as I found a seat in the back. The weight of their stares was suffocating. Judgment pressed into my skin from every direction. Liam stood at the front, commanding and protective. I want to address the rumors circulating about Jasmine Harlow. She's an exemplary employee who's earned her position through exceptional work. Her personal life is none of your business, and I expect everyone to treat her with the professionalism this company demands. The silence that followed was deafening. Then I saw the faces. Really saw them. The woman from accounting rolling her eyes. 2 guys from production exchanging knowing looks. A senior assistant whose expression said she'd just had all her suspicions confirmed. Adeline was right, someone whispered behind me. Not quiet enough. She tried to warn us about this. My stomach dropped. Adeline, The woman who'd leaked the photos in the first place, and now people thought she'd been the victim trying to expose corruption, instead of the vindictive bitch who'd tried to destroy me. Special treatment much? Another whisper, louder this time. Guess we know who to fuck if we want promotions. The words hit like physical blows. I wanted to stand up and scream that I'd earned everything, that I'd been good at my job long before I'd ended up in their beds. But my voice was trapped somewhere between rage and humiliation. Nora appeared beside me, sliding into the empty chair with deliberate casualness. She leaned close, voice low. Don't react. That's what they want. Let them talk. They think. I know what they think. Let them. Her hand found mine under the table, squeezed once. You'll prove them wrong, just not today. Asher and Finn stood beside Liam, unified front, but I could see it in everyone's faces. They weren't buying it. If anything, the brothers' defense had made everything worse, confirmed their suspicions, painted me as the woman who slept her way to protection. The meeting ended, and I went back to my desk, feeling like I'd been flayed alive. But then something shifted. At 2, I got pulled into a contract review meeting. Legal, AR, and half the executive team crammed into a conference room to finalize the Davison deal. A major artist, 7 figures, the kind of contract that made or broke quarterly earnings. I sat in the back, taking notes because that's what junior staff did in these meetings. Invisible, useful, replaceable. They went through it page by page. Standard terms, royalty splits, distribution rights. Everyone was nodding along, ready to sign. Then I saw it. A clause buried in Section 7, subsection C, written in that legal jargon designed to make your eyes glaze over. A loophole that shifted back-end percentage points in a way that looked standard but wasn't. My heart started hammering. I ran the numbers in my head twice, 3 times, confirming what I was seeing. Wait. My voice cut through the room. Everyone turned. The senior legal counsel looked annoyed that I'd interrupted. Section 7, subsection C. I stood, moving to the contract projection on the wall. This clause, the way it's written, it compounds the percentage calculation against our back end instead of the artists. If the album performs the way we're projecting, we'd lose approximately $200,000 in royalty payments. Silence. The legal counsel's face went white. He grabbed the contract, scanning the section I'd indicated. Fuck, she's right. Asher leaned forward, studying the clause with that intensity that meant his brain was already calculating damage. How did we miss this? I don't know. Legal looked sick. But if we'd signed this as is, we'd have been locked into a deal that would have bled money. Asher's eyes found mine across the table. Not warm, not personal. Pure business assessment. Good catch, Harlow.